house only to encounter a demon in their house.
This is the example of how this thing right here will try to get you in your sleep, okay?
Of demon on the house call.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Huh? Yes. Look at you.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me always. Money coming in all day. Money coming in all pay. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me frequently. Money coming in to be with me. Money coming in secretly. Money coming, it's just money coming. It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeat.
Imagine working a private job where you go to a client's house only to encounter a demon in their house. Hey y'all, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny. Let's get into the first story, the demon in the house call. Let's get into that because this story is crazy.
One of our creepy Storytime family members shared this story with me, and she said that anytime she has ever tried to tell anybody, nobody has believed her, and they've made her feel so alone. Creepy story time. Now, this is a long one, so this is part one. She said she'd like to remain anonymous, but she'll probably be checking the comments if you want to leave your input there. This story takes place a few years back when she was 16, just about to turn 17. She is 20 now. For the sake of the story, let's call her Natalie. Natalie had just started an ILS position, which if you don't know what that means, it's just somebody that works with people who have cognitive or physical disabilities. Natalie said that typically somebody at her age at the time would not have gotten a position like this, especially with the company it was for, but her mom worked at the office there and so did her mother's boyfriend. So she had a good word in, and she said she didn't even need to interview for the position. She said, so fast forward about a month and everything is going great. She absolutely loves her job. She adores all her clients. And one morning, one of her clients had to cancel the shift because of illness or something. So in order to keep her hours, she reported it and she was given another client for that day, someone she had never worked for before. Natalie read the specific documentation. For the story's sake, we'll call this girl Sarah. And she came to find out that Sarah has autism. So she arrives at Sarah's house, knocks on the door, and goes inside. She says that Sarah was very sweet, but she did note that something felt very off. She had matted hair, her clothes were stained and tattered, and she said there was a very strong smell of dead animal. So she said she nicely and briefly suggested that maybe they could work together to clean her up a little bit. And then she even went on to explain the importance of cleanliness so as to avoid sickness or infection. So Sarah just looks at Natalie dead in the face and says, "He won't let me."
Who's he?
So Natalie's a little confused because nowhere on Sarah's documentation does it say that she lives with anybody. She is very independent and lives alone despite having autism. So Natalie asks Sarah, "What do you mean by that?" And Sarah just shrugs her shoulders. Natalie asks Sarah one more time, and Sarah just turns away from her and goes over and sits at the dining room table where there are some art supplies sitting there. So Sarah begins to draw, and Natalie stands up and walks across to go over to her in the dining room, and she said that when she passed the living room, she noticed a very tall, had to be about 6 foot, old-looking full-length mirror. She said she remembers these details about it, like streaks running down it and cracks around the upper edge, probably because she said it made her feel very unsettled. So Natalie says she sits down at this table and her back is directly facing the mirror. And when she turns around, she can see into the mirror. She sees her own reflection, and she can also see a little bit into the living room. So they're sitting there in silence for a little, and then Natalie tries to strike up some kind of conversation, asking her basic questions like, what are you into? What are your hobbies? Sarah does not give her very much to go on. She answers her with a few one-word answers, and then the rest of the time she's just shrugging her shoulders again. Natalie totally understands that with autism, it's hard to socialize, especially with new people, so she just decides to let it be. So about 30 minutes have gone by, and Natalie is trying to come up with things to talk about, so she's complimenting her drawings. But again, Sarah didn't really say much. Then, all of a sudden, the temperature in the room dropped. She said it felt like all the windows were open on a cold winter day, and none of the windows were open. She asked Sarah, "Hey, do you want me to turn on the heat since it's so cold in here?" And Sarah replied, "I need it cold." Natalie was like, all right. And she left it at that. Then Natalie notices Sarah aggressively flips the page in her drawing book and starts scribbling down an image. And it starts to look like she's drawing a cross. Natalie almost wanted to ask her if she was religious, but she knew that would be inappropriate to ask, and she didn't want her to feel uncomfortable. So she just asked, "What are you drawing?" Sarah just smiled wide without looking up and just replied, "It's a cross." But Natalie noticed that Sarah drew it upside down. So Natalie said, "I think you might have it drawn the wrong way. See, like this." And she holds up her necklace that she was wearing of a cross. Sarah looks up and her face drops. And she just says, "You shouldn't have that in here." Natalie asks, "Why not?" And then she replies, "He doesn't like it." And then she went back to drawing. So at this point, Natalie's getting pretty freaked out. And then she says the coldness in the room drops even more. It's just getting worse and worse. And she's starting to think, I brought a jacket with me. Did I bring it from the car? Did I put it in the living room? So she turns around to look into the mirror to see if she can kind of see it sitting in the living room. When she turns around and looks in the mirror, she sees her own reflection, and she says she can see Sarah's hand sticking out from behind her, still scribbling away on the paper. And then Natalie says all of a sudden she just got this overwhelming sense of dread, just this horrible feeling like something bad is going to happen. And she's still looking in the mirror, watching Sarah's hand scribble, and then all of a sudden she stops and just sits there still. Natalie is frozen in fear. She just has this intense feeling like somebody's watching her. She says in that moment, she also felt breath hit her on the back of the head, and it even fluttered her hair. She spun around so fast, and she was face to face with Sarah, so close Sarah's nose was almost touching hers. She swore that she was able to see everything in the mirror, and she would have seen if Sarah was getting up out of her seat to move close to her. Her hand was still on the table. She said she would not have had enough time to get that close to her without her seeing her move in the mirror. Natalie recoiled back, and Sarah kept leaning forward. Natalie kind of put her hand on her chest and then tried to jokingly say, "Oh, you scared me." Sarah now leaned back a little bit and then just looked at her and gave her the biggest grin. And she said it looked super unusual, almost like it hurt. And then she looked up and past her, and immediately her face dropped, and she said, "He doesn't like you." Okay, this is getting kind of long, so I'm going to make a part 2 and finish up the story. Keep an eye out. This is part 2 of Demon on the House Call. If you haven't seen part 1, go back and check that out and then come back here. So now Natalie whips around and looks behind her, and all she sees is the living room and the mirror. And then she turns back to Sarah and says, "Why doesn't he like me?" She says she's not really expecting a real answer here, but then Sarah replies, "Because you brought that in here." And she looks down at Natalie's cross. So Natalie immediately apologizes, trying to diffuse the situation, and she even offers to take the cross back out to her car. Sarah just shakes her head and says, "No, he wants you and it to leave." So Natalie is too stunned to even speak. She's trying to find the words to reply. And then all of a sudden she hears a loud cracking sound from behind her. So when Natalie whips around to look, she sees a new huge crack in the middle of the mirror. It goes from top to bottom. And she said the weirdest part was it was a perfectly straight line. Natalie said she quickly stood up on instinct. In the mirror, she could see Sarah's hand leave the table and hear the creak of the chair from where Sarah was sitting. Natalie turns to find Sarah now standing and just staring at her. And then Sarah let out this extremely loud scream. Natalie said it was so deep, it sounded like an entirely different person. She said she was so scared that she remembers dropping her phone as she stumbled backwards. Then the scream stopped, and they were just staring at each other, which felt like forever. And Natalie is on the floor now trying to get her phone as she's looking up at Sarah asking, "Are you okay?" Sarah is now one step even closer, and she said that she could see in her eyes something was just different. Natalie said her heart was beating so fast. She was so scared. And now Sarah starts mumbling things that she can't quite understand, and it's getting louder and louder. And then she starts to make out what she's saying. Sarah kept saying, "He says to get out. He says to get out. He says to get out. He says to get out." And she's getting louder and louder and faster and faster. Natalie's tripping on her words, trying to say, "Okay, if you want to end early, I can leave now." And Sarah just kept getting louder and louder, repeating herself over and over again, until the point where she is screaming this now. Natalie says she is just frozen in fear, and she feels like she just can't move. And she said she was clutching her phone so tight, she's surprised it didn't break. She said dread was just washing over her and she was stuck in a trance until Sarah took another step forward, at which point Natalie started backing up now into the living room. Natalie tried to say, okay, I'm leaving, but she said all that came out was gibberish as she backed up to leave the house. And then Sarah takes another step forward and Natalie is just out of there. She turns and runs. She does not look back at Sarah. She purposely does not look into that mirror as she passed by. She said she remembers hearing fast footsteps like speed walking right behind her as she was running out of the house, and she could just hear her repeating it over and over again. He says to get out. He says to get out. Natalie just threw the door open. She didn't even bother closing it. She just ran out and jumped in her car. So Natalie gets in the car in just total disbelief of what the heck just happened. She said she looked back to see if Sarah had followed her, and she just saw the door slam closed. She said it was too dark to see if Sarah slammed the door or if something else slammed the door, but she was just glad that she did not continue out of the house after her. Natalie said that she just starts sobbing and her hands are shaking so bad that she can't even reach up to press the button to turn the car on. So Natalie's just sitting there trying to pull herself together, and all of a sudden she feels something brush up against her neck, and then all of a sudden she feels a little thud in her lap, and she looks down and there is her cross ripped off of her neck and sitting on her lap. She said that the chain had snapped, and what made her blood run cold was that it landed upside down in her lap.
Oh,
After that, she drove off and she went home and told her mom about what happened. Her mom chalked it up to, well, it might be a behavioral thing since she's autistic, which I don't think so. Natalie had to take some time off after that, but surprisingly, she did keep her job. She just never went back to work for that client again. Ugh, that was such a good one. It sounded like it was out of a freaking horror movie. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'm sure Natalie will be taking a peek as well. And as always, don't forget to follow for more creepy story time.
Now, Natalie, ma'am, first of all, I don't even know why you spent all that time in there. The minute you said he don't want you there and there was no heat to be found in this house, you ain't gotta say nothing but a word. Because at the end of the day, yes, you can be protected and all that stuff. I would rather deal with a ghost than a demon. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know the demon's name to call to cast them out, it's gonna be hard for you to get rid of them, first of all, right? So I would rather deal with the ghosts because they're easier to deal with. I would rather deal with the haunted house than to be dealing with some unnamed demon that I don't even know the name of. Because that girl, she knew the name of that demon. She knew what the demon did not want or wanted in the house, okay? And the fact that he did not want you in there with the cross lets me know this was a real demon. It wasn't because she was dealing with, autism. Nah. The way that her mom was talking about, it's because she's artistic. Nah, ma'am. I already have a thing going on with anyway.
All right, friends, so y'all bear with me as I try to navigate through this story about a dream I had last night. Now, I've already posted this video once, but it got taken down, so I'm going to choose my words wisely, and we're going to use pictures from reference instead of the person's or thing or entity's name. So this dream really creeped me out, and I will tell you, this is an example of how this thing right here will try to get you in your sleep, okay? So I went to bed, not tripping, not watching nothing crazy, but while I was in this dream, it was in a home that I didn't recognize, but it was a place of like mixture of homes that I grew up in. And I was doing a podcast. I did a 2-minute segment and it didn't do that well. It got like 300 views. For some reason, a very popular and famous content creator ended up coming to my house, and it was normal in this dream, and they were like, oh my goodness, your content was so great. That 2-minute segment, although it only got 200-300 views, you got 4 million impressions and you're awesome. You're doing a great job. So I was excited, and I said, this is finally my $1 million debit card coming, and I'm gonna be able to create content full time. I'm gonna be able to do this. I'm so excited. Wow. And this very famous content creator, I'm not gonna say their name because it's not them, it wasn't them, it was this thing right here, right, using that person to entice me. So they were like, I want you to be on my podcast permanently. You're gonna make all this money. They bring all this equipment, and it's nighttime. They're telling me this in my home, in my dream. I didn't find that strange. I was just like, wow, finally. But it's like I knew it was a dream, and I was just thinking about when I get up, I'm gonna be rich, okay? So here's where the dream gets weird. He brings all this equipment back to my house and says, you're going to need this to do your podcast. You're going to be going to shows with me, doing shows. I can't wait to get you in this business. So again, I'm still happy and excited. Like finally somebody sees the talent and I'm about to be, really doing what I want to do, what I'm passionate about. And he says, let's go for a walk. Okay. So go for a walk, completely normal in the dream, right? We're in this neighborhood that gives you somewhat California vibes because it's like hilly, but at the same time, it's giving me like, Mexico vibes with like the lights and just a warm feeling, although it's wintertime. Keep that in mind. We walk up this hill, we get to this house. It's like an old orange brick house, right? And it's 2 stories. There are windows at the top. No windows in them, no glass panes, but windows. And then there's a woman that comes out, a young girl, and she is speaking a language I don't understand, but immediately I got a bad feeling. I was like, wait a minute. Are you trying to do something with this person to me? Or this entity to me? And she immediately said, I don't have anything to do with it. I just do the ceremony. And so I look at this famous content creator and I go, are you trying to sorry, I got choked up. I asked, are you trying to get me to agree to a contract with this person? And they immediately was like, yeah, but it's not what you think. Like, all you got to do is say, I agree. And I was like, I rebuke that. Okay, I rebuke that. No, I'm not going to agree. So then the content creator got upset. And they were like, look, when you wake up after you agree, you're going to be a millionaire. You're going to be a millionaire. You don't have to worry about money anymore. Don't worry about it. This entity is going to make sure. So I'm looking into this house. This house seems very inviting, very warm, a place somebody would want to be. But again, I keep feeling this really dark, heavy, evil energy. Like, I'm like, what is going on? So then the girl that's supposed to do the actual ceremony, she falls on the ground. I'm looking at the content creator and they're getting visibly upset with me saying, just agree. Just say that you agree. And I said, I do not agree. I do not agree. I do not agree. Never saw this thing at all, but I felt it. Okay. And then eventually I woke up. Now I say all this to say that even in your dreams, this thing right here will try to get you to agree to sell your soul, baby, but it belongs, okay, not to him, but to the one up there, okay, and it's mine, right? Anyway, friends, I really hope I ain't got y'all up in too much of a tizzy. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about that. I don't know. It could have just been a crazy dream, not mean anything at all, but I think it meant a lot, and I did not want to wake up with an agreement with them. I'm gonna call y'all back later on, okay? Bye.
Okay, so first of all, before watching the video, I've never even watched a video before actually playing it so I can react to it with you guys, right? I thought it was going to be a scary video, but clearly it wasn't. It was just of this young lady and her dreams. She did mention it was a dream in the beginning of the story, but I thought it was going to be like a scary dream or something, right? But what I want to say about dreams is the fact that, she was giving the devil all the credit, for this dream. So a lot of the times when you dream about something, it's because you were thinking about it before you went to sleep. It was like the last thing that you thought about or you saw before you went to sleep. So there naturally you go into dream about it. That is the reason why subliminals work. You'll listen to something or you'll say something before you go to sleep, and you're in the frequency, and basically you will be dreaming about that, right? And or if you see certain people in your dream, is because, for example, celebrities, right? You see a celebrity in your dream, I don't know, you're in the same vicinity of the celebrity, having dinner with them or talking to them or whatever. It means that eventually you will be in that level of that person. Not necessarily exactly on that level, but you will be moving up a level in your awakened life. I have a whole dream book. It's not my dream. It's not my books, but I have a dream book, interpretation of dreams and all that stuff. But I noticed that a lot of people just love to give the devil the credit of everything. And for some reason, they always assume like, oh, this person present themselves to me asking me to sell my soul. Well, it didn't necessarily say that you were going to sell your soul. And in the dream, when you saw the big celebrity person, big YouTuber person that you saw in the dream, you automatically just assume that, they're here to make you sign your soul away, which you cannot sell your soul. It's not yours to sell. You cannot sell your soul. It's just a figure of speech. Oh, you sold your soul to the devil, which means you're doing things out of your morality, out of your things that, morally you're doing things that are wrong, which can be considered selling your soul, trading your morals for something that you normally wouldn't have done. I don't think it was the devil, trying to get your soul or anything like that. It could have been an opportunity that was going to come to you. Not necessarily because, you agreed to it, because technically in a dream, you can't really technically agree to anything that is going to affect you in the real world, right? You can have visions of things that will take place eventually, but in my opinion, you cannot agree to anything in your dreams that's going to affect you in the real world. For example, the devil come to you in a dream, which in my opinion, the devil, do you believe in the devil or God? It really is up to however you interpret it, what the devil is, because the devil could be your lower self, God could be your higher self, you know what I mean? So in my opinion, it's just, if you want to know more about how I feel about, God and the devil and heaven and hell and all that stuff, check out my YouTube channel, All Things Shani. But I do believe that a lot of people, especially in the Black community, do like to give the devil a lot of credit, or they refuse to look in the mirror. They would just blame the devil for certain things that they do, because, oh, the devil, is trying to get me to do this. The devil came to tempt me. Or God, they always blame the devil for everything. Nobody likes to take accountability or anything. They just like to blame the devil. In my opinion, what she saw is because she was already put in her mind that the devil's going to come and tempt her in order for her to get all these things, like, becoming a popular YouTuber or influencer. You have to sell your soul for this, you have to sell your soul for that, but it's not really true. You put in the work and you get the results. It's not necessarily selling your soul. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there are people out here who are selling their soul, which means like you're basically doing things that are against your morals, for something, which is what selling your soul is. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who are doing those things. Like, for example, Diddy technically sell his soul. He does things that are against his morals, against the people that supposed to be here with him, supporting him and loving him. He does things against his morals to them, which in turn could be selling your soul. But I don't think it's like the devil coming with a contract and say, sign right here. Yes, there are demons that can trick you into signing right here, but the devil himself doesn't come up and say, oh, I'm gonna trick you into this because I feel like it. No, you kind of have to go find it, right? You have to go find it and then agree to it. That's the only way you could actually sell your soul. Yeah, there are trickster spirits, but they don't just appear to you out of nowhere. They have to have some sort of connection to you in order to present themselves and then to trick you into doing certain things. They don't just walk up to you and say, oh, well, this person over here look like they are easily tricked, so let me go trick them. All right, so anyway, let's get into the next one. Hey guys, I'm Jenny and this is Shameless Plug. So I want to tell you guys about my Crown of Success manifestation book with easy, simple rituals and spells to manifest a life of abundance in your life. And those spells are so easy, even a child can do it. So this book is filled with different spells that I've learned over the years from my family, passed down from grandma and everything. And also those are spells that I've actually tried and I know that they work. So this book not only teach you step by step on the things that you can do that are so easy that a child can do it, but it tells you like the proper moon phase to use, alchemy, manifesting with numbers, numerology, and also the days of the week that best fit for this particular spell. So it tells you the timing of when to practice the spell, the days of the week, the moon phase. It shows you all the colors of the candles that you should be using and different planets. So for example, I show you like planet Jupiter is for Thursdays and the hours of the days that you should be doing the spell. So this is an easy road opener spell. So I know a lot of people like to do like different spell work, but if your roads are blocked, of course your spells are not going to work. So it's good to unblock yourself first and then start using the spell, especially with the new years and the new days to come. And also I have some amazing spells in here. This is a powerful quick money spell. So if you're in a bind for some money and you're just trying to get some money, and I even have some easy powerful spell to win game of chance. So if you are a gambler, now I don't promote gambling, but if you are a gambler and you're just trying to make some money and trying to make sure you win, these spells will definitely help you. It tells you the best days to do it. So it says the best days to perform this spell is on a Thursday, Jupiter day. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, luck, and expansion. Jupiter is the best day to perform spells that boost luck and increase your chance of success in any game of chance or any money spell, period. It has a list of so many spells that you can incorporate in your life with this new year to bring prosperity. And I even put some bonus spells on here, which for Saturday is a day to do like protection work. So I have a spell for like send back to sender. So I put some bonus spells on here, and then a protection with Archangel Michael. So there's so many spells on here. Removing the evil eye spell, so you can remove evil eye in your money and also in your everyday life. New Year home blessing spell, and I know it's been a few days since the new year started, but you can always do a home blessing spell any days of the week. As long as you need it, you could do it. So anyways, guys, this is my book. It's called Crown of Success by Jenny, and it's available on Amazon, the ebook and also the physical copying. So please grab a copy if you're interested in supporting this channel. This is a way to support the channel and to support me as well for putting out, you know, content every day for you guys to enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope you go and grab your copy, whether it's the ebook or the physical copy. I say have a physical copy, but it's really up to how much, you know, your wallet and what you can afford. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Mwah. This is a shameless plug, so just check out my channel, okay? Love you guys. Mwah.